Hi, my name's Katie, and today we're going to talk about the Indian Removal Act of 1830. Um, some of the topics we'll discuss is what the law actually is, um, the Trail of Tears, the Treaty of the New Etchawa, what happened during the Trail of Tears, the loss of the land. We'll have a fun fact, and then we'll wrap up with the westward expansion of the white settlement. Um, So the Indian Removal Act was signed into law on May 28, 1830 by President Andrew Jackson. The law allowed the president to negotiate Southern Native American tribes for their removal to the federal territory west of the Mississippi River in exchange for white settlement on their ancestry land. The Office of the Historian website states that in 1835, a few self-appointed representatives of the Cherokee Nation negotiated the Treaty of the New Etchawa, which traded all the Cherokee land east of the Mississippi for $5 million, relocation assistance, and compensation for the lost property. To the government, the treaty was a done deal, but many of the Cherokee felt very betrayed. According to the Library of the Congress, a few tribes went peacefully, but many. Oh no, sorry. Let me back up. The law required the government to negotiate removal treaties fairly, voluntarily, and peacefully. It did not permit the government to coerce Native nations into giving up their land. According to the Library of the Congress, a few tribes went peacefully, but many resisted. In the fall and winter of 1838 and 1839, Cherokees were forcibly moved by the United States government. As many as 4,000 Cherokees died during the forced march, which later was named the Trail of Tears. When the Cherokees were removed at gunpoint, the sum of 7,000 soldiers looted their homes and belongings before marching them while they were chained. While on the 1,200-mile march, whooping cough, typhus, dysentery, and cholera were wiping out the native people. If that wasn't bad enough, the soldiers also starved them. By 1840, thousands of Native Americans had been forced to move across the Mississippi with the promise from the federal government it would remain Indian territory. As the white settlements moved westward, the Indian Territory grew smaller and smaller. The History Channel states that in 1907, Oklahoma became a state and the native land was lost for good. Fun fact, the Trail of Tears is 5,043 miles long, and it covers 9 states: Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, Illinois, Kentucky, Missouri, North Carolina, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. With the exception of a small number of Seminoles refusing to leave Florida, by the 1840s, from the Atlantic to the Mississippi, no tribes resided in the Southern America. Through a combination of coerced treaties and judicial determination, the government was successful in paving the way for the westward expansion of the new territories of the United States. You think about it, that's terrible. Like they forced them out of their ancestors' land. Many, many, many Native Americans died. According to the Department of Natural Resources, there is only approximately 56 million acres of native lands held in trust in the United States. So 56 million acres of land in the United States. That's not very much in the grand scheme of things. So their land was taken, promised to them, and gone. In conclusion, we talked about the Indian Removal Act and what it was, and the law and how the law stated it was supposed to be negotiated peacefully and voluntarily through treaties, but the government felt that it was necessary to forcefully remove them if they didn't go voluntarily or negotiate to leave. We talked about the Trail of Tears and how thousands and thousands and thousands of Native Americans died while walking some 1,200 miles while being starved and abused and beaten and overcome with diseases that took them out. We talked about the fun fact and how the Trail of Tears runs through 9 states. It's now accessible. It's still accessible as the Trail of Tears. The government has made it that way. Some parts are accessible by trail, on foot, hiking. Some are by car, horse. Be something interesting to go check out. A neat part of history that we can hands-on discover. And then we talked about how the land was promised to these natives, but as whites wanted to settle across the United States, they continued to take their land after they looted them and stole all their belongings, and mass murders. I'm sure that anybody that tried to put up a fight, the soldiers would beat or kill. So, yeah, I hadn't really known about this topic until I started researching it for this presentation, and it's very interesting to me. I'm glad I didn't live in those times, and I'm glad I live in these times. I didn't have to go through any of that. So, thank you for watching.